So hey, this is my very first live
Are you
stream.
doing the intro yet? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's my guest. We'll get to him in about an hour. I'm going to punish him now. My very first live stream. Never done this before. Trying it out. If you're on the YouTube watching this, there is an area if you want to leave comments. I guess we can look at those. I'm not really sure how this works. Anyway, I've invited an old friend to join me for this, and I'm going to bring him in right now. Harold Jennett.
Oh, me.
You're now on.
Hello.
Harold Skinny. So tell us about Skinny Pete.
Skinny Pete. Skinny Pete is my favorite character from Breaking Bad, which I've just finally finished watching the whole show, the whole series. It was very good. And now I'm watching the prequel, Better Call Saul.
Did you cry during the show?
I don't think I ever broke down and cried, but it was very well done. There were a couple of really good emotional moments in it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody because there's too many good things in it that are surprises. So if anyone is concerned that the show is like, I originally didn't watch it because I thought it was going to just glorify like meth, and it's like, oh, this is about crooks and how great being a crook is, but it's not. It's not that. It's don't do this because this is what happens. It's a bad idea. Oh.
At what point does Malcolm in the Middle show up?
It's funny. I never watched Malcolm in the Middle until after I watched like half of Breaking Bad, and watching Malcolm in the Middle was so weird because he's so goofy. But after I finished watching Breaking Bad, I didn't realize that they did as a joke, they did a thing with Bryan Cranston where he wakes up as the guy from Malcolm in the Middle with his wife, and he says, I had this horrible dream. I was a meth dealer and I did this and that. It was funny.
Wow, they did that on the show?
No, that was just like their I think that was the Breaking Bad YouTube channel. No, okay. If they did that on the show, that would be the perfect ending to it.
Yeah. Like that.
The ending was pretty darn good though. Like, did you watch Lost?
Yes, I did.
Were you disappointed with the ending of Lost?
Yes, I was.
Okay, it's not at all like that. It was such the opposite of Lost. It was really well wrapped up.
I was rather disappointed with the entire last season of Lost.
Yeah.
It was one of those shows that I was always working a second job at the time, and my wife would videotape it on the old VCR, and then I'd come home and she'd try not to spoil it before I started to watch it. But as that last season started, I remember coming home and she's like,
just don't.
You're not going to like it. And I said, yes, I will. Don't tell me what to like. And I didn't like it. She was right.
Yeah.
She's usually right.
Well, I keep thinking that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say for people, if anybody's actually watching this, I should probably kind of introduce you, right? I mean, everybody knows who I am because it's my YouTube channel, right? They know me. They know
unless it's their first time listening.
That's true. But I talk about you every once in a while on the show. This is everybody. This is Harold C. Jennett III, artist extraordinaire. Tell us about yourself, Harold.
I haven't drawn anything in a long time, but I do draw sometimes when my motivation gets up, and then it kind of goes back and forth. But yes, I'm a cartoonist and a web comic person. I play piano sometimes. I'm known to tickle the ivories.
Tickling the ivories. Have you ever played the song Piano Man?
No, I have not. I feel like that's like a thing that everyone that plays piano has to know how to do, but I don't.
Do you do any Billy Joel?
No, I like Billy Joel. I just haven't. I think it's a little too complicated for me still. I play very basic chords and stuff. But yeah, I draw. I haven't drawn in a while. I haven't drawn very much since I have been unemployed for a while. So I'm basically focusing on the job situation. But I do want to. I think we talked about this, or I just need to get a sketchbook and start drawing just for fun for a little bit and get warmed up and kind of ease back into it. And we have another project we're talking about maybe doing, you and I.
Yes.
And I have another friend that wants to maybe do a short story with me as well. So as usual, I'm going to overcommit to things and then quit.
You tell him I said no.
I will. Okay.
And I shook my fist.
Steven's kind of my agent too. I'm not allowed to take jobs unless he says I can do it.
and I get paid nothing to take jobs away from you. Just
Yeah, you do it for free. No, but we did.
And-
We've done our webcomic together. We did. We have our adventure continues. We did our short stories.
and our adventure continues, still out there, still on the internet.
I've still paid this. I paid for the domain name, so we still have it.
That's crazy.
It still exists.
But I point it out every once in a while. I link to it every now and again.
I enjoy going back and reading it.
Yeah.
If we wanted to, we could go and do another. Start doing it anytime.
Heck yeah. Just jump right on in on it.
The technology's there.
I had nothing to say. I tried to come up with something witty. Nothing came out.
It doesn't always happen.
No. It should, because we're live streaming. This is the perfect time for something witty to come out. I'm failing miserably.
They can't all be zingers.
No.
And you can't edit it. I mean, you can. Once this is done, you can edit the video if you want to, but this isn't like a podcast where you can just keep tweaking it and overthink. It's like, I don't know, if I remember right, the way that you like to do your podcast, I assume that you're kind of like me with drawing, where I'll keep redrawing the same line over and over again because it's digital. I feel like if you got like a line wrong, you might go back and edit yourself, or you just do one take and that's it.
No, it depends. There are many episodes that I've just one take, but there are many episodes that I'll say something and I'm like, I could have said that better, so I'll just say it again.
Right.
Because editing makes you sound wonderful, makes me sound witty and quick, and you know, there have been many times where I'll be recording and I will think I'll be talking. And then I'll just stop and I'll sit there for 5 minutes saying nothing because I'm trying to think of the next thing to say. But there's this really wonderful thing in the audio program called truncate silence. Goes in and removes all the silences.
Really?
Reduces it down to like little 3-second bits. And it's just, once I discovered that, man, it made my editing so much easier.
It does it automatically?
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
slick.
magic.
It is. These
Technology.
newfangled machines.
Yeah. It's all magic.
It just knows where the silence is.
Yeah.
It just knows it.
Yep.
So
I've been doing.
What have you been doing?
I've been doing some coding. I've been learning programming, and even with doing that, it still feels like magic because like I type like even having a little inside baseball about how technology works. I think it's just magic.
Yeah.
Like I'm just following the rule book for the spell of how to, like, coding's like your spell book, and you put in the code and it just works. I have no idea how.
Yeah. When I was a kid and we got our first computer, it was an old Commodore 64. And there was this area in the Commodore 64 where if you wanted to change the background, you could change the background color and the border color to the screen. So you could have like a black background with a blue border. And you had to type out you had to look it up in this book, and you had to type out all this code, and you'd spend like 2 minutes, tippity tap tap, tippity tap tip tip. You'd hit enter, and the screen would turn from green to black, and you'd just be like, "Oh my gosh, look what I just did!"
Yep.
I just changed the color on my computer screen, and it was the coolest thing. It was like magic.
Yep.
And now you're just doing it to a much higher level.
Yeah.
Much higher level than that.
Oh. Excuse me, that's the food that I was making that I canceled, but I forgot to turn off my. How rude! Who lets their phones ring in public places, things where they shouldn't? What kind of person does that?
Not me.
So rude.
I keep mine on silence all the time.
Oh, we haven't complained about rude people in a while.
No, we haven't. That was a big part of our webcomic, was complaining about rude people.
That was the root of most
Public
of our jokes.
Control.
Yep. Oh, it still happens every time I go to the grocery store. There's always that person with the grocery cart that just is right in the middle of the aisle, just in the right place where no one can get around them, and they're oblivious as there's anyone else in the world that might want to get around and shop too. Standing there looking around.
You're coming down the aisle, and you're slowing down because you're expecting at any moment they're going to look up and see you and go, "Oh, I'm sorry," and move out of the way.
Nope.
And so you just stand there, and eventually you almost have to go, and then it's like they wake up from their.
Or do they? Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
They're still looking at that cream corn, and I'm like, I've gotten to the point where I literally move the cart myself. I don't care. I'm like, I'm done. Out
I
of my
think
way.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
And that's when they kind of, oh, I'm sorry, but they moving my cart.
Yeah, if they have a problem with it, that's on them at that point. Like, you weren't aware enough that I'm within an inch of you and you haven't gotten out of me or the 3 people behind me's way, then you're not allowed to get angry when I move your cart for you.
I kick their carts over. That's what I do.
Good.
I just green beans all over the floor.
Oh, I missed this. The complaining and
actually, I haven't been inside a grocery store in I don't know how long. I've been inside small places like we have a Dollar General that's local because it's the closest place. It's only a couple of minutes away. But if I go get groceries, I'm doing like the Walmart. They bring it out to your car thing.
Oh, I was going to say I wouldn't. I thought you were about to say that you went inside of a Walmart instead of inside of a grocery store. I would always go inside of a grocery store first because Walmart's evil.
Well,
but no, the curbside's great. I haven't tried it yet, but
I love it. There's a couple of things about it that I could do without. You know, it's you don't get to pick out your own vegetables or your own meats.
Yeah, or the one person does have to come to the window, and you still have to deal with the one person, which is one person too many.
Yeah. And then
does it cost more?
Nope, doesn't cost any more at all. It's free.
Oh, all these charges. Okay, I'll have to look.
I mean, they might hide some charges. They might add 30 cents to my green beans. I don't know. I don't know why I keep bringing up green beans, but they no. As far as they tell you it's free.
But they can give you the crappiest choice of vegetable that's there, and you have no choice in the matter because someone else picks it out for you.
Somebody else picked it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's you can you know when you put in your order and you can indicate that if they don't have what you're looking for, because even though they tell you on the website it's there, as they're picking it, they might realize, oh no, we don't actually have Oreos. And so they can substitute it out for something. But sometimes they will have they won't have it at all. And so they can't substitute it out. And it's like the one thing I need that I'm using for dinner.
Yeah.
I can't make dinner now because they didn't have the double stuffed Oreos.
That's when you sue them.
Yeah.
Sue everybody. Okay, speaking of double stuffed Oreos, now okay. Is it me or are they not as double stuffed as they used to be?
I don't think they are. No. Have you tried the mega? They have the mega stuffed.
But that's what the double stuff was. They're ripping us off.
So it's like the double stuff. The regular is just now like there's just nothing there. It's like a little schmear.
Yes.
And then you got the double stuff, which used to be the regular, and now you got the mega stuff, which used to be the double stuff. And then every once in a while, they put out this kind of Oreo. I think it's called all the stuff, and it's like a 6.
Is it just no cookie?
A double stuff times 6, and it's actually too much. It's too much stuff.
I don't know if that's. I had to find it then. I have to see if you're right because I don't know if that's possible.
I've always thought that was never possible. You can never have too much stuff, but all the stuff is too much stuff.
I think I could just eat a bowl of Oreo cream.
Have you ever had those? We're really delving into some interesting topics.
Yeah, we're really talking a lot of comic book stuff.
You ever had around the house the Oreo balls? People take like cream cheese and Oreos and they make them into these. They taste just like Oreos, but they're like these soft balls that are covered in like white fudge.
I might have.
Oh my God, they're
good.
They're so good. I don't even want to know how to make them because I just make them all the time. Now,
have you ever had? This is something that I was very popular for making at work get-togethers. It's basically you take an Oreo, and then you take chocolate chip cookie dough, and you wrap that chocolate chip cookie dough around the Oreo. Or no, you don't even need to do that. You just put like a blob of cookie dough on top of the chocolate, on top of the Oreo, and then you cook it, and it just melts over it, and you basically have a double layer of Oreo with chocolate chip cookie around it. The look on your face it's amazing. It will change your life. You will start a religion on it.
I'm ready for a life-changing event.
That's what you need. Just make one of those. Make a whole pan and just sit down and eat them, and you'll probably die from it, but you'll die happy. and you'll go to Oreo Heaven.
Ooh. Oreo Heaven.
Anyway,
I'm trying to picture Oreo Heaven.
It'd probably get old after a while. You'd probably get sick of the Oreos, and then it turns into Oreo hell.
It's kind of like all the stuff Oreos. It's just too much.
I had to find those.
There
is that what it's literally called?
I think it's called all this stuff. I'm pretty
right.
sure, and it was a limited time thing that they just do every once in a while.
All right, I'm doing
like
that.
They had an accident at the freaking factory or something.
You think that's how it started?
I think that's how much that stuff started.
They had a vat of the stuff full of. That's probably how they made that Kentucky Fried Chicken sandwich, where it was like the chicken sandwich was on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that was a mistake. Yeah, probably all those like the Taco Bell Dorito shell. They probably just accidentally dumped Dorito fixings on the shell.
Said, Bob, I kind of messed up on the Oreo line here, and I ended up putting too much stuff in the Oreo.
and then
said, well, heck, what are we going? How much did you do? Heck, I don't know, 6 million boxes. Well, let's just sell them. We'll call them all the stuff. And then they high-fived each other.
We need to make a skit of that.
I think that's what happened.
I think that's exactly what happened. Quick, get marketing. Throw together a package.
Let's mock up a package.
You take double
all
stuff, replace double with all the done. Except I don't imagine it being some Southern guy. I imagine it being this really annoying New Yorker, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a sleazy business guy accent. There's not really an accent for that though. Maybe he talks like this. No, that's a taxi driver. He wouldn't talk like that.
Too much of the
it's
stuff.
all the stuff.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You put too much of the stuff on my Oreo.
It sounds like a deli owner.
So
anyway.
What have you been reading lately? Tell me what you've been reading.
What I'm currently reading right now.
Because you're like me. You don't rush out. You don't go to the store every week and buy a bunch of new stuff. We're the guys who are using the hoopla. And do you still do Comixology Unlimited?
All the stuff, Oreos. Sorry, I found it. Anyway, I gotta put my phone away.
Does it? It looks amazing though, doesn't it?
It's just the cream.
Stuff? Yeah.
Yes, it looks amazing. Now I want to try to find it. I haven't done any of the all-you-can-eat comic book things. I've done DC before. I've done the Marvel version before, and I've done the Comixology version before. And it's great, but then I get to that point where I'm like, I get like a deer in headlights. I'm like, I don't know what to read. There's too many options. And I'll figure something out, but I just have such a backlog of comics I've actually bought digitally because there'll be a ridiculous sale. And of course I have to have that. So I have over like 300 trade paperbacks like digitally that I've bought over the last, I don't know, 5 years. So I put everything, all the subscriptions on hold, and I'm just trying to slowly go through my backlog. And what doesn't help is I have Hoopla Digital. So on top of that, I usually I read those first. So yeah, I'm not really making a huge dent. But no, I haven't collected monthlies as they come out, gosh, for over probably 15 years, 20 years. Because it just got to be too expensive, and it just doesn't make any sense, and I just can't keep up with everything.
Well, and if you've been out for a while, it's especially with the big two, it's really hard to decide where you jump back in because I mean so much has happened. Just look at freaking DC with their New 52 and then their Rebirth, and Marvel. I've tried to read some of their new stuff, and I just like don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And I that's why they can't, like, I just can't see them getting new readers anymore because, like, at least I have some history of it, but someone just can't, they want to get someone that's never read comics to get into comics. It's just really hard. But you know what's scary? It's scary how much I still have kept up, like just reading Newsarama and watching the news. Like, I know almost everything that's going on still.
Yeah. No,
I'm reading older stuff. The thing that every time Comixology has a sale on something called Marvel Epic Collections, I usually will get as many as I can afford to get that month. Like I've been going through the Avengers stuff from very beginning, and I'll get a couple of these collections every time there's a sale. Basically, Epic collections are like 500-page volumes, like just a ton of stuff. Like they'll do something either for Marvel, like from the beginning, and they'll do Epic collections like that, or they'll just take a specific storyline and just make one big huge collection, like Executioner's Song from X-Men. They put all that together in one volume. But I love those things because like I can just read it and the whole story is right there.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I love those. I've been reading. Oh gosh, I should look at the. What have I been reading? I've been reading Savage She-Hulk, but that's on Hoopla. But that's like a masterpiece collection. So I'm reading the original She-Hulk, which is pretty cheesy, but it's still fun. Jennifer Walters originally was much more like Bruce Banner, where she gets angry and she turns into the Hulk. It wasn't like she's just always this fun lawyer She-Hulk. That's like it was a lot more like the original Hulk. There's even an interesting story. There's a preface to the masterwork where the author talked about how it happened. Stan Lee kind of made fun of how, at the time, how DC was doing all these spin-off characters like, Supergirl or Batgirl. And he was like, I'm not going to do that. But then the Hulk TV show was totally taking off and doing so well. And at the same time, they had the Bionic Man TV show, and then they had the Bionic Woman. The Bionic Woman did really well. So Marvel was scared the same thing was going to happen with the Hulk TV show, that they were going to come out with the She-Hulk TV show. So they decided they needed to get ahead of it and come out with a comic book first. And that's how the She-Hulk comic happened, was because the Hulk TV show was doing so well, which was interesting.
It's strange to think about that because you and I kind of grew up with the, I don't want to say the John Byrne era She-Hulk, but that's kind of what I think about.
Pretty much.
When she came back from Secret Wars and became a member of the Fantastic Four, that's the She-Hulk I grew up with.
Yep.
And so she was always She-Hulk.
Yep.
And she kept her personality, she kept her brain, she kept her thoughts. And it's weird to think that she was like the Hulk. She just transformed when she got angry.
I mean, she wasn't like She-Hulk smash. She talked pretty normal. In fact, it was funny. One of the issues, Iron Man meets her for the first time and they get in a fight. And as they always do, usually you fight and then you talk. But he had never met her before. He'd never even known she was a thing. So as soon as Iron Man saw She-Hulk, he just assumed she was like the Hulk. So he was talking to her like she was an idiot. He's like, "I'll use me, no fight you." Like he was talking like that, and then she uses this very complicated sentence talking back to him, and he was just like, "Oh, you can talk." So that's when they stopped and just talked everything out, and the fight stopped. But it was kind of funny.
Well, that's kind of how it is in the real world. I go to Walmart and I'll run into a guy and I'll just start fighting him. I'll just be like, "Why are you in Walmart?" And then we'll just start throwing punches. And after a couple of shelves go down, and then suddenly we're the best of friends.
Yeah,
that's how we met.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Fisticuffs first, friends later.
I had to drive down to where you live to fight you.
Yeah.
But we did have the original. It was pretty bad. A couple buildings went down.
Well, I insisted you come here because I do better in the central time zone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get into another time zone, my powers go down.
Yeah, but every couple years we still have that fight. Because that's usually what happens. Yeah, we have the crossover. That we have the misunderstanding.
Yep. And then we realized the whole time that it was the bad guy. It's amazing how they just can't trust each other. These good guys just suddenly they're like, "Thor, you're my best friend." Cap and Thor will be like best buddies, and then some bad guy will come in and start to manipulate Thor just a little bit. And Cap's like, "Oh my gosh, you've completely changed your personality. I'm just going to start fighting you instead of questioning why you're a completely different person."
Yeah. Or maybe I decide that you need to.
They do that on TV shows all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you told me you have read Deceased.
I have. That was really good.
The folks who listen to my show know that I am just madly in love with Tom Taylor.
I haven't read anything. I don't think I've ever read anything he's done I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and with him, I had a friend who kept urging me to read his Injustice book.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to because it was.
Wasn't that me? No, that was a coworker. That was one of your coworkers.
Yeah. And it was a video game. Why would I want to read a comic book based on a video game? That's stupid.
Yep.
And of course, once I read it, I fell in love with it.
It had no right to be as good as it was.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm still reading it. I'm like on year 5. I've been reading it through Hoopla.
Yeah.
And it's not Tom Taylor anymore. Some other dude took it over after like year 4 or something.
It's the guy that I'm not gonna be able to remember. There's this artist that
Yeah.
does a very good watercolory feel, and he always co-writes with a different artist or a guy that's I know who you mean. It's not horrible.
It's not, but it's funny because there was one volume, I don't remember if it was year 3 or year 4, where they're both credited as writers. Brian Buccoletto.
Thank you. You looked it up. Okay.
They're both credited as writers, and you can because at one point Tom Taylor stops and Brian Buccoletto starts.
Yep.
And the issue when the one stopped and the other started, I could tell right away.
Also, to that point, you could tell. But then I read this annual with Plastic Man, and I was like, this is really good again. And I looked at the credits, and he came back to do the annual, and it's so night and day. And again, it's not like the other guy's like a horrible writer. That's just how good Tom Taylor is.
Yeah. The problem though is because I'm reading, so I read Deceased, and then I read Deceased Unkillables, which was amazing.
That was even better, I thought. That's one of my favorite comics ever.
And they have a third one out now. They've actually got 2 different series going on. He's doing a digital first, Deceased. I think it's called Hope at World's End. And then there's the third main series called Deceased, Dead Planet.
Oh, I didn't know there's another one.
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but
is he writing both?
Yes.
Okay.
Hope at World's End, like I said, it's a digital first, and so I get them on like Comixology Unlimited for like 84 cents an issue. But it's set during the main series. It just gives you a bit more information. But when I'm reading all of those at the same time that I'm reading Injustice, there's just something about those 2 series because he tends to focus on the same characters in both series.
Yeah.
So they kind of intermeld a little bit. And that's kind of weird because at some point all Justice wondering where all the zombies, and they're not.
You're starting to break up a lot. Sorry to cut you off. Like I can't hear you anymore, and you're frozen now. You're a pixelated frozen picture of your face.
Well, crap.
Sorry. Is someone downloading a lot of illegal Apple Music at your house?
No.
I know that's a thing.
No.
Because people still download illegal music.
I am on we have wireless. I'm not hooked directly into the modem, so we get these hiccups every once in a while. Hopefully
just start screaming at everyone and turn off all the internet.
Turn off all your stuff. We did finally upgrade our internet though, which is the only reason I'm doing this, because our internet was horrible. I'm not going to name any names.
How was it?
It was horrible.
Okay. I just want to hear you say it like that again.
Horrible. I'm not going to name any names because then AT&T would get mad at me for saying bad things about them. So I'm not going to say who it is.
Good. Glad you didn't.
They were, for years I thought they were the biggest in town. They were the best that we could get. And they only offered us 18 megabytes per second download. And we found someplace else that gives me 150.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I feel like Wi-Fi's turned into what we used to have when like someone was on the other line when you're on the phone. Like, who's on the phone? I need to use it. Like now it's who's on the Wi-Fi. Or if you only have one Netflix line, like if you're super cheap like us and you don't, and you do like the $15 one where only one person can be watching it. Like last night, we wanted to watch The Crown and my daughter was on Netflix. We're like, Holly, it's our turn. So
that's when you say, I pay for this.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't argue. She's usually good about it.
Okay.
So she doesn't watch shows that are as cool as ours, so she loses the right to watch anything.
Well, what was she watching?
Some reality show about people that marry people like they don't know, and they have like an arranged marriage, and then they follow them around and see how the marriage goes. Yeah, she likes it.
I have nothing to say about it.
Okay.
I couldn't tell if you froze or if you were just like.
No, but you're freezing again.
Yeah, that figures.
I'll
That
stop
figures.
pointing it out. It probably makes
Yeah.
it worse.
No, no, you should point it out every time. So then I know, because then I can start feeling really weird and awkward.
Good. That's good.
Because I just assume now I'm just freezing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll just go like this.
Okay.
You'll be like, "Oh, you froze," and I'll ha ha. So
Gotcha.
let's talk about streaming real quick. Are you caught up on the Mandalorian?
I was just going to bring up Mandalorian. Yes, I'm caught up, and I have a very unpopular opinion that I do not think this season's as good as last season.
I will wrestle you to the ground.
I don't think it's as good, but I also every night I've watched it, I've been incredibly tired, and I'm amazed how much that can affect my feelings on shows.
Yeah.
I just feel like things are a little bit slower paced and the acting's a little stilted. I just feel like there's this awkwardly long pause between lines, like people aren't sure what they're supposed to say next, and that might just be being. My son thinks it's fine. Like everyone else is enjoying it. Brad Milo made a very funny face on. He made this meme of someone just kind of, huh? When I mentioned on Facebook I didn't like it as much.
Yep.
So yeah, no one agreed with me at all. So that's fair.
Well, you should probably, keep watching it as it comes out, and then just rewatch it once the whole season.
Yeah, but I didn't have to do that last season, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I know whether I like it the first time.
No, you're supposed to like it. I'm gonna indoctrinate you into
You're gonna be one of those people. Oh, you have to watch it 3 times before you get everything.
No,
Then
those are the
you'll
same
appreciate
people
it.
that used to tell me all the time. They'd offer me beer, and I'd say, I don't like beer, and they'd say, well, you got to drink the beer. You'll get used to it. Well, why would I want to get used to something?
I'm gonna punch you in the face. You're not gonna like it at first, but I'm gonna just keep punching you in the face, and you'll get used. You'll start enjoying it.
You'll enjoy it
That's
after a
called
while.
abuse.
You'll wake up in the morning and wonder why you're not being punched in the face, and you'll be really sad.
Yeah. Wait, what's that thing called when you get kidnapped and you start falling in love with your kidnappers?
Oh, that's the Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mandalorian. No, you know what? The one with the spiders was really good. Like when Yoda started eating those spiders and those eggs, and I'm like, oh no, I know what's happening next.
Yep.
And I started getting frustrated.
I thought this last one was really good. What was I going to say? I think it was the one with the spiders when it starts out where he comes back to the bar and the woman is there and she's playing cards with that giant ant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that part was fairly ridiculous because he comes back and he's like, okay, I'm back. And she's like, oh, did you find any Mandalorians? No. She goes, well, I just happened to be playing cards with a guy who can give me information on Mandalorians. Isn't that just
they got to keep the episode moving along. Yeah, that was
But I've really been enjoying it. But I don't know if I'm enjoying it just because of what it is. I am afraid that if I go back and watch him, that I may not enjoy him as much. But I actually have, except for this last episode, I have watched each one twice. I watch it once in the morning and then once again in the evening.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
because you're dumb.
Well,
you don't get it the first time. Why is the guy with the helmet? How come he can fly? Oh, that's right. He had the jetpack.
He's got one of them rocket packs on his back, and then makes him fly. That little green guy is eating them eggs, and I wish he'd stop because I feel
a lot of people got angry about Baby Yoda eating those eggs. Like angry, not like, oh, that's horrible. He's doing it. Like I might cancel watching the show.
How dare you make such an adorable creature a murderer?
Yeah, it was a joke. It was supposed to be fun. Like, oh, he's becoming a villain. Like, no, he's not. It's just
apparently these people have never eaten eggs themselves.
I don't know.
It's a frog lady. I don't think she really exists.
No, it's all real. What do you stop?
And you weird. I didn't realize the first series that Baby Yoda was a puppet. I thought he was just CGI the entire time.
Oh, wait, are you serious?
I didn't realize. Yeah, he's a puppet.
No, I mean, are you serious? That
I'm serious. That? I had no clue. I started watching the behind the scenes stuff and I went, holy crap, that's a puppet, man. That's crazy. Blew my mind. It's okay. You can. I know you think I'm stupid. It's okay. It's all right.
You can see it in my face.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking it. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Oh, might as well have little light up marquees on your forehead, moron. Yep.
All right, you've frozen again. I don't know if you're still
Good.
talking or not, but
I'm not talking.
okay.
I'm not
What are you
talking at all.
drinking?
I'm drinking Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay.
Fuels my soul.
I'm on a diet. I'm using something called Noom, Noom, and I'm drinking diet soda as well. And the only thing that was at the store was Diet Coke, which I think is disgusting, but it's all I had.
Yeah.
It's not as good. Diet Mountain Dew is much closer to the original thing for me. Anyway.
Well, plus my kids don't like to drink it, so
Yeah. Well, more for you.
that's right.
I just want Winter Soldier. I want Falcon and Winter Soldier to come out. I want that to be the next thing, and it's not. It's taking too long.
No, I think is WandaVision's next, right?
That is
I think
next.
it's coming out before that one. Which I'm looking forward to, I suppose. I'm
not sure what to think of that show.
Yeah, I'm not as pumped on that as I am about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Especially since that's going to have U.S. Agent.
Exactly. That's
cool.
exactly why. Because we both, I think,
we were there, man.
Yeah.
We were there when Cap hung up the shield, and it's like, what? There's a new Cap. What?
I was so happy when they came out with the collection for all. That was one of the epic. They have an epic collection that specifically covers the entire story of that. That was such a good series. Yeah,
see, I will get to that eventually through Marvel Unlimited. I think I'm in 1983 right now, reading stuff through Marvel Unlimited. Maybe I've actually made it to 1984, which is actually before I started reading comics the first time. I don't know why I chose that. I think mainly because of stuff like the John Byrne's Fantastic Four started, I think, in 82.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't reading comics when his Fantastic Four started, but I went back and read those at some point. So
what you should do is I'm going to give you podcast advice, is that you should just literally read every page, panel by panel, of every book of every month of every year, and that won't bore anyone. That's what you should do. Like, don't do an intro, just start reading every comic, and then that's. There was a guy that did a Starman podcast like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and then he described what was happening if there were no words.
I have tried to, I've toyed with that. I've tried that as a joke over on my Patreon podcast, my other podcast. Work. No, I learned that, I did that this week, because I had a couple of months back, I was getting ready to record an episode of my other podcast, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I thought, well, I got this Marvel Unlimited app. I'll just hit the little random button on it, pull up a random comic, and I will
have a random button now?
Yeah, and I'll just read it real quick and then talk about it on the show, regardless of what it is. And it didn't go great, so I thought I'll do it again. And the second time I did it, I came across a Thor book from the 90s. And so I started going through it on the show, and halfway through it, I actually started doing like a dramatic reading of it. And I thought it came out pretty funny. So then I tried it again one last time this past Friday, and I picked out an Avengers book from the 90s, which had a really weird cast. It was like Hercules and Crystal. And
it's the one where they had those jackets on?
I think so. No, they didn't wear the jackets in the issue because they were all camping, which was really weird.
Okay.
It was a really weird issue 390. And listening back to it, I did the whole thing as a dramatic reading, and it didn't turn out good at all. It was horrible.
Maybe you should do more of like a short synopsis of just like flipping through it, like random comic of the day. It's this.
Yeah.
And then just like go through it over like in 5 minutes or so. I like the idea of a random comic out of nowhere, or maybe like you just pick it before you do the podcast and just talk about it. I don't know.
That was kind of the original idea, is I would just pick it, start recording, and start reading as I'm recording, and then just comment on what I'm reading on. and it would take like a half hour to do the show. But once I edit it down, it would only be about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it hasn't worked out that way.
Yeah. Have you ever read an old comic that like that you remember loving it, and then you're like, oh, it's on sale, I'm gonna read this old comic I loved, and then you read it like this is not aged well. Like this is not how I remember it.
Yeah.
Like that's sad when I do that, because you feel bad when things just aren't as fun as they used to be.
Alpha Flight was that way for me.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first books I bought through Comixology sale. The classic Alpha Flight trades, and was really excited to read those because I remember loving them as a kid, and they were all right.
Then you're like, was I just a stupid kid, or am I just a lot smarter now?
Both.
Yeah, I still have those trades. I think it was because of you that I got them, because you were talking it up, and so I still have those sitting on my digital shelf to read.
I haven't finished them. I mean, they have their moments. I mean, it's John Byrne.
Yeah, he's not the best writer in the world.
Fan. He's not. He can be. He has his moments.
Yeah. I think he has interesting ideas. Just his dialogue is not always the absolute best. He has that habit. He does that thing where like he'll have Captain America flipping in the air and have like a dialogue balloon like almost as big as that panel. Yeah. It's like there's no way he's saying all that in that one. Anyway, that's overthinking it probably, but I loved some of his writing, but there's other stuff he did that's just the artwork's beautiful, but
that's what I love about some of those old comics, how you'll have the villain and the hero just in this knockdown, drag out fight, but at the same time they're having a very in-depth conversation with each other, and it's just amazing. It's like that must be part of their superpowers, to be able to punch each other in the face, take that pain, fly through buildings, and still carry on a very extensive back and forth conversation.
They have to be talking as fast as the Micro Machine Man to fit all that in.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm gonna make sure we get a lot of that if our project goes forward. I'm gonna do a lot of that.
Oh, please, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Probably not, but
please do that.
There's nothing more I love when we're working together than to provide you with a script that is like 3 panels long, and the dialogue is like 5 pages long.
And I'll be like, there's no way this is all gonna fit. Can I please do?
Just use tiny font. Just make it really tiny.
Yeah, I used to think that would work.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of fun because when I started working, that little draft I sent you, the idea for talking about doing, I had written out a prose version of that was probably, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000 words.
Yeah.
Which is almost, depending on the size of a book, it could be considered half of a book or maybe a full, actual prose book.
Right.
And then when I started, I thought, all right, this will be easy to convert this into a comic book script. It's right there. But I started looking at the stuff that I had written, and there were certain things that you feel like you should get to in a first issue that don't happen right away. And the differences between a prose book and a comic book, you can drag it out a little bit more.
Yep.
In a prose book, but there are certain things that it's like, I feel like you have to see certain things happen by the time that first issue ends.
Yeah.
And so it was really actually
start hitting each other.
Yeah. Once I had started thinking about it like that, and I had told you that day, I said, I got a little inspired and I started doing a lot of writing, and it kind of hit me as how to move the elements around and do kind of a start at the beginning, go to the middle, come back, and how comic books will kind of shift back and forth in the timeline.
Yep. So
certain things can happen right away, and then they can kind of explain it a bit later.
Wow. Boring.
Wow.
Anyway, you gonna wrap this up?
I'm gonna hold on. I gotta make a little X on my checklist. I wanted to make sure I bored you to death.
Okay.
At some point, this made Harold yawn. Tick.
No, it's because I stayed up too late last night.
Oh, I did too. Oh, speaking of which, have you seen the Deadpool movies?
I have not.
I I hadn't for the longest time. I even had some friends who loaned me the DVDs, but of course they tell me you can't watch this with the kids in the room.
No.
And I live in a small house. I don't have a room I can go to and watch stuff without the kids are in the room all the time. That's just the way our house is. And so I've just never watched it. And people find out, oh my gosh, you haven't watched Deadpool? What's wrong with you? That's like the best movie ever. It's the coolest. Well, they put it up on Hoopla recently, both of them. And Friday night, yeah.
Oh.
They're both on Hoopla.
I'm watching. Okay.
Friday night, I stayed up late to watch the first one, and it's good. It has its moments, but it was not as great. People are probably going to kick my butt for saying this, but I didn't think it was as great as everybody has made it out to be.
I wonder if part of it's because could it be that people that haven't read the comics saw the movie and they just weren't expecting it to be that funny? Although there've been funny comic book movies. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought, I haven't read a lot of the Deadpool comics either, to be honest with you. And I thought the funny moments were funny. I thought it had some really great moments in it. But there's always been a part of me that you get tick
twice
me on again. There's always been a part of me that I have a hard time rooting for characters, rooting for the hero that's not really a great guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of who he is. And so, and then there's a part of me that watches something like that, and I think about all the people that have told me how great the movie is and Daredevil so cool and all this stuff. And he's not a good. Granted, I guess he's not even doing what he's doing for good reasons. So it just makes me a little bit sad when I think about the state of the world that they're latching onto a hero like Deadpool. And
I think that's
Venom.
why I struggled with Breaking Bad, because I thought he was going to be this complete anti-hero thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got, it's like, if you want to think Deadpool is a great character, I get it, because it was funny. There were some really fun moments in it that had me cracking up. But I think in general, I would rather root for a Superman or a Captain America.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the point of the movie, though, is they did make a lot of point being a superhero and what makes a superhero, and Deadpool is definitely not a superhero, and they're not trying to disguise it. They're not trying to tell you that this is the new modern superhero, but I guess I just didn't enjoy it as much as everybody built it up to. I'm still going to watch the second one.
It stinks when there's a movie that's that hyped up, and when you finally see it, you're like, huh. Like, I almost wonder if like your expectations get too high because it's just so heavily lauded by everybody.
Yes, that's how I felt with Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
See, my expectations were incredibly low, and I thought I was going to hate it. So I think maybe that's why I ended up liking it. But then when I saw Nacho Libre, it was the opposite, and I expected it to be amazing. And I think my expectations were too high, and then I didn't like that as much. Although Nacho Libre is one of the few movies where the second time I watched it, I actually liked it a lot more. And now I quote it all the time. And now I have a Nacho Libre Funko Pop. So nice. I
need to watch that again. I've seen it. I don't remember how I felt about it the first time I watched it, to be honest.
Every time I watch it, I like it more.
If I can't remember whether or not I liked the movie the first time, it's usually a good reason to go ahead and give it another watch.
Or it means you really didn't like it.
Yeah. But Napoleon Dynamite was one of those that it was probably a good year and a half after the movie came out before I saw it.
Yeah.
So everybody who had seen it just talked about how it was this breath of fresh air and comedy, and they've never made a movie like that before, and nothing has ever been as funny like that before. And so I went into it thinking it was going to be this life-changing movie, and it wasn't. Yeah.
Awkward pause.
Yeah.
That's
which usually means we should probably be wrapping it up here pretty soon.
Usually.
Yeah.
Do we cover everything? I read Secret Empire, and that's pretty good.
Is that the
bad Captain America? Captain America's a Hydra agent.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's pretty good.
Nick Spencer was one of those guys that I remember. I can't remember any of the stuff he wrote before he came to Marvel. Yeah. But it seems like he was one of those guys that did a bunch of indie books that were really good.
Yep.
And then he came to Marvel. and he did like the Hydra cap, and people just hated him. I feel like I started to read. He was the guy that was doing Amazing Spider-Man with Ryan Otley, right?
He has a very he has a very well loved. I think it's a well loved Spider-Man run. I really liked his 7 Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. I thought that was hilarious. That was really funny. That's when Dr. Octopus became Spider-Man. And that's a really funny book if you ever get a chance to read it or get it. But I think besides that, they did like a prequel series for Secret Empire. I think it was on Comixology Unlimited. That's why I read it. That was actually better, I feel like, than the actual Secret Empire series. It it stinks when you have a writer that you like and they kind of whiff the ball. Wiffle
ball.
They whiff it, or whatever the term is. Like, I love Jason Aaron. I feel like I haven't read anything bad by him yet until I read his current Avengers book, and I just think it's okay, but it's nothing like his other stuff.
Ghost Rider and
where
they're living in the Sentinel.
Yeah.
I read the first trade. That was one of those that I just, okay, since when is the She-Hulk like this? And I don't know.
That's actually one of the more interesting parts of it for me, but otherwise it's like I don't know. I loved his Wolverine and the X-Men. But this is just, I mean, it's not horrible. It's just I think it's because he's such a good writer normally, like when he's not hitting it out of the park, I feel let down. Like, oh, this is just an average. This is only good. It's not amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm let down. Anyway.
For me, it felt like it was, because I've been reading so many of the older books that, you read some of the old Avengers titles and they do spend a lot of time with the team dynamic, just them hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And because the stories kind of intertwine, and it's more soap opera-y, I read his Avengers, and it's just like, oh my gosh, they're just always doing something.
Yeah.
They're just always moving forward and always fighting, and there's always something going on. And it's like
he's trying to make it too amazing.
Right. Yeah. They were just trying like balls to the wall from the very beginning and non-stop action.
The best issue I read was when they're all hanging out in a jacuzzi. Like, it was just a really good team moment. It was funny. Yeah. I miss that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One quick thing I got to throw in quick. I'm reading one of the older Avengers books. I think it was the Korvac saga or something, but it was one of the older ones. There's this one scene where this guy from, I forget, it was a made-up country, but he comes to the Avengers mansion and Black Panther answers the door and he says, I hope you don't mind if I don't shake your hand, but I find black people distasteful.
Who said that?
Some guy that's like he's like he's the ambassador for this other country. Obviously he's supposed to be racist.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be a bad guy, but just the way he's like, jeez. And Black Panther didn't kill him. He was just like, all right, well, and they still helped him after that. Like, well, it's still the Avengers' job to help anyone that's in need. I'm like, can't you at least punch him once?
It's like, I guess I'll take the high road.
Yeah, he totally did. Although the guy ended up being Claw in disguise.
Oh, geez.
But anyway, I was like, man, Black Panther took the high road for sure. I'm surprised the Avengers. Anyway,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, well, I guess we can wrap this up.
Yes.
Do you want to tell folks where they can find you? I mean, like your physical.
I don't really have. I'm not really working on
your house. And...
Yeah, my social security number, mother's maiden name. No problem. I'm not really doing anything right now. Maybe later when I start being more creative again.
It's tough.
Like we have our. If you want to go read one of our old webcomics, it's ouradventurecontinues.com.
Yeah, and there's plenty of strips up there. It'll keep people busy for a few days.
Yep.
But it's hard being creative right now. It just really is. It's just such a, it's, I don't know if for me it's because of everything that's going on in the world, or if it's just because my routine has changed so much this year that it's just been really hard for me to be creative. So I get it.
Yeah. I think for me, I just need to learn to enjoy it again. My biggest problem, I always fall into this. A couple months ago, I had almost a good straight month of drawing every day. But my problem is I tend to overthink it. I start being too much of a perfectionist. But the biggest problem is when I go on Facebook or Reddit and I start posting it, because it becomes more about me seeing what people thought of it than the actual act of enjoying it. So I think I'm going to go out and get a sketchbook, and I'm going to make a point that I'm not going to show it to anyone for like 1 month. Just draw something for fun, draw as much as I want to or as little as I want to, as long as I draw something every day.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe later I'll post it, but like it just, that's my biggest downfall is I start caring too much about responses and being perfectionist instead of just making it fun.
And then you see stuff out there that other people have posted that you know is not as good as yours, but everybody loves it. It just drives you crazy. I made a tweet the other day that was kind of a Debbie Downer type tweet that I did it as a joke, but I think I was watching a Scotty Young video, his latest one, and he's talking about how to quote unquote break into comics. And he makes this comment where he's like, just if you just want to make comics, then just go out there and make comics. He's like, we're at a time in our life where you can just make something and put it out on the internet and it's there for people to see. And he goes, so my advice would be just create and just put the stuff out there. And if it's good, people are going to see it. He's like, the cream always rises to the top. I said it wrong. The cream always rises to the top. And so I put out a tweet and I said, every time I hear a creator who is popular, who has a lot of people that follow them, talk about something like, they always say that if it's good, people will see it. The cream always rises to the top. And then I said, so at which point do I have to start telling myself that my stuff just isn't any good? Because my stuff's not rising to the top.
That's not the case.
I don't think it's the case either. I don't.
And what's hard is it's not like you're not one of those people that you're really talented, but you only you do like one short story, put it out there, like, no one read it, I quit. Like you've been doing this for a long time. Like you're much more you're more consistent, much more than I am. I'm more the latter. Like I'm more like I'll do like a short story. I'm like, I don't want to draw anymore. But you've been doing this consistently. You've been doing the writing and you've been doing the podcasting. And I'm not just saying this because I'm your friend. I'm saying this because it's good. Like all your stuff is very good. And sometimes it sucks. It just happens. Like you can keep working on something and you just don't get that audience. Like I still feel like that you can and you will. It's just taking much longer than some people's success stories.
Bring into her. There's just so much other stuff out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
And I know that when it comes to my podcast, I know that I say it all the time. It's like, first, already in a small, there's so many comic book podcasts out there. And then I'm a single host, which not that many people get into. So I kind of pigeonholed myself. Is that a phrase?
But right? I'm not a fan of single host podcasts, but yours is still enjoyable. 99% of the time, if it's single host, it doesn't have that energy to it that when you have people going back and forth, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm like 6 people, I guess.
Yeah, well, you do 6 different voices. So you basically are.
This is really the reason I brought you on, is so you'd say nice things about me.
Yep.
So I'm going to mark that off on my checklist too. Tick.
Okay. What else is on the checklist I haven't
No, that was it. Make you yawn, say nice things about me. That was it.
And complain about rude people.
Well, that's just a given. That's just what we do.
Oh, okay. One more. No, see, you're going to be one of the people that does this, but like, I don't know if it's because of COVID or if it's just always been like this and I just notice it more, but I feel like there's so many people with like purposely no muffler on their car driving by lately, or they make it so the car makes this noise. But I just feel like there's more and more people now that drive by, they're like, Rah! And you hear it for like 5 minutes. Like I know they're like 20 miles away and I can still hear them.
Yeah, I think a lot of those folks do it on purpose. We have just literally down the block from us a guy who has a garage that works on cars.
Yes.
And it seems like every weekend, it's like he picks out the one car that's the loudest and just drives up the road. And yeah, it always seems to happen when I'm recording as well.
Yeah, and I'm not
'Cause then
sure
it's
if
like
it's
20
happening more
minutes
lately
later.
or I just notice it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you still hear it like 20 minutes
Yeah.
later.
It's like, how can that still be making that noise? You're 3 miles away.
Yeah, but you also are one of those people that likes to play your music loud. So
Yes, my wife complains about that.
yeah, if you're in my neighborhood, I would not like you.
I like to use the excuse that it's not well, first of all, with my tinnitus, I have to have it a little bit loud to hear it above other people. Otherwise, I just hear the ringing. But I think I used the excuse to her once. Well, it's not just that it has to be loud. I have to be able to feel. I gotta feel the music.
Of course you do.
That's exactly what she did. Yeah.
Okay, on that note.
I'm so passionate. I have to feel it.
Yep. Okay.
All right, yeah, that's a good time to log off. So thank you for joining me. I had fun.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here.
I may try to do some type of live stream each week. If you ever want to come back on, just let me know.
Oh yeah.
See who else I can get on.
We should get a whole host of us.
It's a whole gaggle of people.
Whole gaggle. Gaggle is a good word.
Yeah, I think this service lets me add up to 10 people.
Okay.
That's almost that's too much.
I feel like, what's one more podcast? But I feel like you just need to have a podcast where we complain about people, rude people. Call it the Public Manners Patrol podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
That just rolls off the tongue.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
All right. We got that awkward pause again, so I think it's time to wrap it up.
All right. Well, thanks, Harold. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty happy with my beard now that I'm looking at it for a while.
I'm pretty happy with your beard too.
I am. It's not a Steven beard, but
well, I like the salt and pepper, man. I've got a few white hairs every once in a while in here, but I like it.
I just wish it was a little even. It's more on this side than that, but oh well. Such is life.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. I'll talk to you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.